Information Society, redefining excellence.
Hello, my name is Anurag Tiwari. I'm studying in mechanical engineering from first year from Zeel College of Engineering and Research, Pune. My project name is Carburetor. For this PVL activity, I purchased carburetor and deassembled it for better understanding of its working principle and to know what component is used in it. For this project, my project guide is SS Kulkarni ma'am.
A carburetor is a device which is used in internal combustion engine for appropriate air-fuel ratio for combustion. It is a device for mixing air and fuel in a system for proper burning of fuel. It is only used in petroleum engine. The first carburetor was invented by Samuel Morey in 1826. The first petroleum engine was invented by Cypher Morris with use of carburetor in it. Function of carburetor. The main function of carburetor to mix air and gasoline and provide a high combustion mixture. It controls the engine speed. It also regulates the air-fuel ratio. Increase or decrease the atmospheric amount of mixture according to the engine speed and load changing. To keep certain head of a fuel in the float chamber all the time, vaporizing the fuel and mix to air to a homogeneous air-fuel mixture. To supply the correct amount of a air-fuel mixture at a correct strength under all conditions of a load and speed of engine. I have disassembled the carburetor to get inside peak of it, and this is all the pictures of different angle of carburetor. Throttle wall. Throttle wall is an important part of carburetor. It controls the mixture of air and fuel for supplying to the engine cylinder. The driver opens the throttle wall by pressing accelerator. Ventry. The ventry is a gradual decrease cross-section hollow tube. It helps to decrease the air pressure in the chamber, for which fuel comes out from the pipe. Metering system. It controls the flow of fuel into the nozzle. It is responsible to form correct mixture of air and fuel. Idling system. It consists of a passage directly from the float chamber to vent tube. It provides a rich mixture during idling at low speed. It works during idling or when the throttle is open below 15%. Float chamber. The float chamber serves as a storage tank of a fuel for a continuous supply of a fuel. It contains a float wall that maintains the level of fuel in the floating chamber. When the level of fuel decreases in the float chamber, the float moves down, which, which opens the fuel supply wall and allows the flow of fuel into the float chamber. As the fuel increases, the float moves upward, which closes and stops the fuel supply. Mixing chamber. In the mixing chamber, the mixture of air plus fuel occurs and then supplied to the engine cylinder. Choke wall. It is a wall that controls the mixture of air-fuel. The main function of this wall is to control the quantity of air inside the mixing chamber. This wall normally in a semi-open condition, but when we need a rich mixture of air-fuel, we operate this wall and this wall closes inlet of air within the chamber. So we get a rich mixture of air fuel because the quantity of fuel in the mixture is more because of less air in the chamber. Strainer. It is a device that is used to filter the fuel before entering the floating chamber. It consists of a fine wire mesh which filters the fuel and removes the dust and other suspension particle from it. If this particle is not removed, it can cause the blockage of nozzle, idle and transfer port. In addition to main nozzle in the venture port of the carburetor, two other nozzle or port delivers the fuel to the engine cylinder. Throttle return check. The total throttle suddenly on a engine running very high speed will cause a very high speed intake manifold vacuum which will draw exhaust into the engine intake. During V by V overlap, this will dilute the intake chart to cause misfire or even shell. To prevent this, a throttle return check V by V is connected to throttle linking in some modern carburetor anti-dieseling solenoid. Modern emission control engines usually run hotter, which may result in some hot spot on the combustion chamber. To avoid this, some combustion are equipped with an anti-dieseling solenoid to turn off the pre-ignition. Auto mixture controller. A plugger-shaped valve is operated by a solenoid and a spring and control of a separate jet in the float chamber. When the solenoid is turned on, the V by V is lifted, which increases the fuel supply to the jet. When the solenoid is turned off, the spring pushes the valve down to decrease the fuel supply. The solenoid is operated by a computer. According to signal received by it on a engine speed, the coolant. This type of a computer controlled combustion are called feedback control calculators.
Air pass through air filter or strain to ventry. Air is controlled or maintained by choke valve. Ventry has a small cross-section area due to which air pressure increases. The float and the needle valve system maintain a constant level of gasoline in the float chamber. When air passes through ventry, its pressure energy decreases, due to which it sucks out gasoline from float chamber, which is connected through pipe, due to which float chamber open the fuel tank pipe, which is connected to fuel tank. Needle valve moves down due to the suction of gasoline. When float chamber filled completely, needle valve move in upward direction to block fuel tank pipe. Air and fuel mix in a mixture chamber. This mixture passes through throttle wall. Throttle wall is connected by accelerator. When accelerator cable drawn, it allows the passage of mixture to engine.
Advantage. Carburetor parts are not as expensive as that of fuel injector. With the use of carburetor, you can get more air and fuel mixture. In terms of road test, carburetor has more power and precision. Carburetors are not restricted by the amount of gas pumped from the fuel, which means that cylinder may pull more fuel through carburetor that would lead to denser mixture in chamber and greater power as well. Disadvantage. At a very low speed, the mixture supply by a carburetor is so weak that it will not ignite the properly, and for its enrichment at such conditions, some arrangement in the carburetor is required. Work of a carburetor is affected by change in atmospheric pressure. More fuel are consumed since the carburetor are heavier than fuel injector. More air emission than fuel injector. The maintenance cost of a carburetor are higher than the fuel injector system. Application. used for spark ignition engine. It used to control the speed of the vehicle. It convert the main fuel into the fixed droplet and mix with air to bubble in smooth and proper without any problem. At last, I thank Yale College and my project guide SS Kulkarni ma'am to providing such a great opportunity.
Zeal Education Society, redefining excellence.